The Star Wars galaxy is made up of countless different strange species of aliens alongside humans. However, in majority of the major armies we see that there's little to no variation. But why is this, and why are aliens so uncommon in the military? Now, we're primarily going to be focusing on the major armies in the galaxy, for example the Republic, Separatists and Empire, and to an extent the Rebellion, as all these armies were mostly made up of one species or droid, as opposed to a mix, with the Rebellion being the only real exception. However, it should be noted that that was still heavily human dominated. I will also be releasing a video on if the Empire did allow alien soldiers in their ranks the day after tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, the first reason many large military organisations that operated galaxy-wide didn't recruit aliens is for relative simple reasons that include things like language. There's so many different dialects in the Star Wars universe aside from basic, and when commanding troops and communicating to fellow soldiers, it's very important that it's done efficiently. Now, teaching a bunch of alien species basic or some other certain language would take a lot of time and it'd be very expensive. And don't forget, some species aren't even capable of speaking basic, so in a widely varied army, communication is going to be very difficult, especially for everyday soldiers and pilots. Secondly, we have the cost for equipping them with armour and other equipment. Having special ergonomic designs that fit a wide variety of species is going to be very expensive, as opposed to having one uniform set of equipment that can be mass produced. With all this variation, it's going to be very expensive to make stuff for specific species, as different species' physiology is completely different to others. And whilst on the subject of appearance, we should also note that it's going to be very difficult to tell friend from foe. For example, all clones look the same, all stormtroopers look the same in their armour, all droids look the same. For this reason, it's very easy to distinguish friend from foe. However, if all soldiers in your army look very different, even if they are wearing similar uniforms, it's going to make it very difficult to tell friend from foe. Again, especially for everyday troops. Now, one of the largest factors here as well is culture. Different species have different beliefs, different social norms. They all have their own histories and views on certain subjects, and these are going to be radically different from species to species. And although this may not seem like a huge deal, after all, the galaxy exists in relative peace between species. If they're put in these close quarters and forced to fight with each other in the tense conditions, they're going to show. For example, some species may have a strong warrior culture that believe to turn from conflict is a great dishonour. This means they're going to push to fight and they're going to condemn people who want to retreat. So this could create conflict and tension between units and soldiers. Another example is bad blood between species. The Star Wars galaxy has a long, rich history of species killing one another. For example, Wookiees and Trandoshans, two species that hate one another, and getting them to work together would be incredibly difficult. So basically, societal differences in species will inevitably cause some form of conflict. Finally, we have loyalty and consistency, and this is possibly the biggest problem with a wildly varied army. They're less predictable. For example, by only using humans, the Empire had a pretty good idea about how their soldiers felt, and how they could manipulate them to their own end. The Empire had an anti-alien agenda. For this reason, they could rely on their purely human troops to enforce this. They knew that there wasn't going to be an issue subjugating alien worlds, for example. However, in such a varied army, this isn't going to be the case. Soldiers all have different motives, different loyalties, and your orders may contradict this. So if you order the invasion of a world, you have no clue if your soldiers are going to agree or disagree with it. And although this can be the case when recruiting only a certain species, by adding all these different variables and all these different species into the mix, it's going to create even more confusion and possibly conflict. Essentially, consistency is something that is very important in many military operations, and by having such a huge pool of potential recruits, it jeopardizes this. These were likely issues the Rebellion found themselves in very often when integrating different species together on missions. However, it should also be noted that there are countless benefits to a varied military force, different perspectives, different skill sets, etc. And these all played a very big role in the Rebellion actually winning the war. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share and sub, as it's really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @TheLawGuy and tick the bell for regular updates. Thanks again for watching, I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.